Welcome to It's a Broker Thing podcast, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. Each episode will dive into market updates, practical insights, and real stories for brokers who want to stay ahead, build stronger relationships, and grow their business. Let's dive in. Welcome to It's a Broker Thing, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. I'm your host, Tony MacRae, and joined with me today is Blake Buchanan, General Manager of SFG. Today's episode, we're going to dive into one of the actual most powerful growth strategies a broker can have, turning strong relationships into great referral sources. When you nurture relationships, you don't just build loyalty, you create opportunities. And today we're going to look at practical ways of transforming those relationships into great referral sources. Welcome, Blake. Thanks again for joining me.
Third time, Tone. I'm a lucky man.
Fabulous. Let's jump straight into it. So why, in your opinion, are referrals such a critical part of brokers' growth strategy, and what makes them so powerful?
Well, everyone's a referrer, aren't they? Clients, they'll talk to their family, friends about your service, so they're a referrer. Then we've got professional referral services such as accountants, fin planners, and everybody in between. I think it's super important because it's a reflection of how you facilitate your business, the professionalism, the trust that you have with your markets. Building strong referral partnerships is one of the most fundamentally important things to building a business.
You're absolutely right. And I remember when I first joined Bluestone a little over 2 years ago, catching up with a mate of mine that was a broker. Hadn't used Bluestone, and we were actually we'd been out doing some bike riding and had a coffee afterwards, and asked me the general question of what are you up to? Told him about the Bluestone gig, and I hadn't actually used them. I said, well, just give us a crack. And it was only because of my strong history and relationship with them. He gave us a crack at it and had a great result, and now one of our big riders.
Well, you just stole a little bit of my thunder there, Tony. So what I was intending on talking about is the activities, the amount of people that you talk to, you form relationships with, but at a point in time, you want to leverage that relationship and ask them for business, which is precisely what you did. You've had a relationship with this person for a while. You've moved to Bluestone. You're doing a fabulous job, by the way. And at a point in time, you've said, hey, give us a go. You won't regret it. And he's done that. And that's precisely what building referrals relationships are like. We have to be strategic about these things. How many people in broking would you have come across that just go and knock on a real estate store or call them and say, refer me all your business? It's not the best way to get a long-term relationship. They'll have plenty of people knocking on their door. What's your point of difference? Your point of difference is your relationship with them.
And it's not an instant thing either. I think, I look at, from a lender side, I look at BDMs that get really frustrated that, hey, I'm doing all the right things, but it's not necessarily instantly coming. But you need to do the right things every day. You need to do it multiple times, and it won't necessarily be the first time that you knock on someone's door that you get that instant connection and reaction.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you don't go to the gym once and, come out and you've lost all the weight and you've got all the muscles. It's repeat behavior. It's consistency. And sometimes these things can take months and months and months. But if you stay the course, you'll get the result if you're doing a good job. So the example here is referral partnerships are available to you everywhere if you scratch the surface and you want to see them. So in the event of a broker organizing the finance for somebody purchasing a home, you're doing a great job for that customer, you're building trust, and hopefully they'll be a referrer in the future. But attached to that purchase transaction is a real estate agent, one or two conveyancers, perhaps an accountant if they're self-employed, family, friends, work colleagues. So it's a really great opportunity for the broker, and our systems can do this as well, to make an introduction of themselves and their services to the other people that are helping this customer get their home. And so they receive the notice, who you are, what you're willing to do, the customer's at the center of everything that you do, and you're going to help them. And then you get a follow-up phone call when the deal's been successful from that broker, and you think, my gosh, well, my broker doesn't communicate this well. My broker doesn't have those systems. It just takes time. The very next time something goes wrong with their broker that they might use, they might just think of you and give you a call because of your great service.
We spoke in an earlier podcast about community and how relationships are able to actually build that sense of community. And this is at the core for me of relationships, because, again, if you just view home lending as that home lending transaction, then you're just one of the many transactors in the marketplace. But if you're bringing value beyond that, and you're bringing value to referrers, and referrers are bringing value to you, then you've got a sense of community, and your customer feels that sense as well.
Oh, absolutely. We all want to deal with bespoke professionals that are known, like, trusted, excellent at what they do. And it starts from a service proposition level. How do you execute on what you're doing, and how does that make your customers feel? That needs to be spot on, so they have a great experience, so that they feel confident in referring you to other parties. And this needs to be exactly the same with professional referral services like accountants, fin planners, accountants, conveyancers, solicitors. You need to ensure your service delivery to them as your business partner referrers is also excellent. So what I would say to people is have a plan.
And have that key point of differentiation that you can add value to someone else's business. Don't lead with how are you going to add value to my business? This is how I can add value to your business. I think it's just absolutely critical in this space.
I think you're right. We spoke about this in one of the previous episodes, where we spoke about maybe using AI and technology, but that might cause a little bit of laziness where you rely on that to market to referral partners. But you're absolutely right. Relationships, referral business partners aren't just about sending emails or EDMs or asking them to give you something. You need to form that relationship with that human being. And once you've got that physical connection, that physical relationship, whether it be a telephone call, a light lunch somewhere, or a sales meeting with them, that's when you start building and you work out, okay, well, I've got a bit of leverage here. I'm going to start asking them for business or for more business. And beyond that, I'm going to ask them for people that they know to become my referrers as well. You've got to remember that brokers talk to brokers, aggregators talk to aggregators, lenders talk to lenders, real estate agents talk to real estate agents, accountants talk to accountants. So why can't we tap into that as an opportunity as well? And it starts with doing a really good job at the start.
Yeah, you absolutely so true. And I've just lived this with my parents. So my parents lived in the same house for 54 years. We all grew up.
Epping?
No, they're at Balcombe Hills.
Okay.
And but they had a real estate agent that about 4 years ago knocked on their door, spoke to them, maintained a relationship throughout that whole process. He was top of mind, that they were always, when they were selling, going to him. And after 54 years, hugely stressful event. But he did so much more than just sell the house. He guided them through and made them feel comfortable. And that was only because didn't get the deal 4 years ago, but he maintained the relationship, checked in on them, and acknowledged, you're not ready, but when you are, come and talk to me.
And that's right. Now, you just can't replace that relationship. And this is what we talk about. Going to the gym, you've got to go and you've got to keep going to get the results. Relationships are no different. You're not always going to win it on day one. And in fact, often it takes longer than that, but you've got to keep showing up and doing the work. And in this case, it took 4 years. In many cases with brokers, it only takes a few months, but you've got to have the plan. You've got to deploy the activities. You've got to do the activities consistently over time, and then you'll see the results. And you'll question why you didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do brokers maintain that trust and authenticity when asking for referrals?
Well, I think you've got to have a really great presence. So think about them and why they would want to deal with you. So can I look at them online? Do they have a flash website or a respectable website? Do they publish content? Do they have a LinkedIn profile? Is everything set up in my broker business so that even if I haven't spoken to somebody and they look me up, does that form some form of respect or trust or knowledge that I'm a professional operator? So let's get those things right first before we start entering into people's worlds and saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is the relationship I see for us moving forward. Is that of interest of you? I think the earlier comments were around, well, every broker and their dog wants more referral partnerships and everyone's knocking and asking for them. So what is your point of difference? Are you in a niche? Is it something about your personality that people will like? Who is the market that you're trying to approach? Can you work with that market? The easy way is to think of real estate accountants, but what about if you don't gel with real estate and accountants? What about lawyers? What about doctors? What about other niches where you can form these partnerships of referral into the future that are more suited to where you want to be?
Yeah, so absolutely. So what are some practical steps and strategies that you can give to brokers to actually start to go out there and build those networks?
Absolutely. So we do a lot of strategic work with our brokers and we talk about scalability and capacities. And so we really encourage brokers to work out what their output can be, what they want it to be against their goals, to make sure they've got the right infrastructure for their business. Then it's about filling the funnel. And filling the funnel, there's a few different ways of doing it. Existing customer database, marketing, of course, but referral partnerships is also a key way to growing your business. And so I'd say, how many do you have the capacity to deal with? And which space do you want to deal with them in? We've already got the existing clients' relationships that we can tap into. But if I'm in a local market and I want to approach real estate agents, accountants, so on and so forth, let's do some research. Let's find out about those businesses, how big they are, how long they've been in operation for, who the directors, managing directors, owners are of that company, and what type of clients do they deal with. So I'm gearing myself up with information about them before I even meet them, so that when I say g'day to you, I know a lot about your business, and that will immediately build some respect and trust there. Then it might be the dance, can I buy you a coffee? Can I take you out for lunch? Can I get to know more about you? I want to tell you more about me as well. And then comes that point where you say, I think this is going to work. Can you give me some of your referral clients and I'll see what I can do contra? So I think those things are really important steps. It takes time, but you've got to do them.
So gone are the days where I just take, a bunch of real estate agents out for a slap-up Chinese and the business is going to walk in the door.
Well, sometimes that still works. So depending on, and it is real estate. We love real estate agents, but different things for different people. I'm not going to say that doesn't work. I'm going to say it doesn't work as well today as what it used to in days gone by.
Truth be known, that's how I got you on the podcast. So it still has a role to play.
True.
Preparation, understanding who you're dealing with, you're saying is absolutely key, and then that networking piece to bring someone on the journey. When do you know it's the right time to ask for the business and ask for the referral?
Yeah, I mean, that's a more personal one to know, because you need to be in the room. You need to see the signs. As you're asking them to give you business, you also want to be working with somebody that you can have a relationship with. You don't want to do the dance, Tony, and get one or two referrals and then it all falls apart and you get no more. It's a bit of a waste of time. So you want to do your research on them too. I think the right time is always. I think brokers would do well to remind people that we're here to serve and help. And if we can help you help somebody else, please refer your clients through to me. I think that should just form part of our normal pitch to people or communication that we have with them. But I think if we're looking at deepening, not just having a high level, can you refer me some business so I can help people? If we want to deepen that and make it a business partnership into the future, that's where strong relationships really come into play. You want to build that so no one can take it from you.
How important, we've spoken a fair bit there about business partnerships and referral sources there. But the other key referral source is customers that you've helped and delivered. How important is that, and what tips have you got for brokers? Because sometimes it's hard to throw that question out there, but what are the tips?
I understand the pride element. Sometimes it's hard to ask for something, but in reality, people love it. People these days are more comfortable asking for 5-star reviews, so I can build an online profile and hopefully get more referrals. I think every interaction with anybody to do with a deal is a marketing opportunity, and you can build a referral base. So we spoke earlier about a purchase and it's got attached to it, maybe a developer even, but conveyancer, accountant perhaps, real estate agent, you name it. Am I tapping into those through my existing customer database? then of course you've done a great job for that customer. In 4 years' time, by the law of averages, that customer is going to refinance or pay down that debt. So on average, customers refinance in the 5th year, and brokers should know that data. Because if we know that data, we can start marketing to our own database at the right times to get the right result and retain them as customers. And then again, it gives us an opportunity to see if there's clear equity in there, what's their future strategy, borrow more money, investment property, etc. Then I get the additional deal, and then I get those people attached to that additional deal that can perhaps be referral partners again. So it's just this evolution of more referral partners if you want to tap into it. Now, it sounds like a lot of work, Tony, but you can digitize a lot of this as well. So once it's set up, you don't have to do anything.
I was going to ask you about, digitizing and using that because, I'm a big proponent that sharing stories and telling great stories can lead to great business outcomes as well. And it's very common now to be asked to do a 5-star review if you think they've delivered well. How do you handle it though when maybe the delivery was a little bit off and it may not have been your fault?
Well, this is the sandwich thing we spoke about off camera, but what it is it's the reasons why, the education, the bad news, and the how to overcome it so it doesn't happen again. And then, of course, you wouldn't ask for a 5-star review, Tony. I'm guessing in that scenario. But listen, I think we're not always going to win. These people with 5-star reviews and not one below that, outstanding. I think congratulations to you and your business. But would I be afraid of dealing with somebody with a 4.24 stars? Absolutely not, because I understand that things go wrong. So that's okay too. I guess in that situation, it's about the positioning with the client. So you still walk away from each other respectfully. And if you do that well, they're not going to give you a bad review because they're going to understand it. Some people you just can't appease. You might have to write to Google and ask them to remove that one. But that's the way I'd handle it, Tony.
But that's that whole authenticity piece. And one of the things I find really strange, there's a number of industries now that the end of the transaction is almost a lecture on how to fill out the review and the consequences of not getting this certain level for them personally, almost a guilt. But I think the real value is having that authenticity and then delivering on that.
There's really amazing brokerages out there, and some of the best ones in the country still have this little tagline that says if I've helped you, the best compliment you can give me is by referring somebody to my services. And we should never forget that. We should get over our pride. What we do is for customers, in their best interests. We're serving them. We love doing it. We help them. So to ask to help more people isn't a bad thing. Sometimes you just got to know when to ask for it.
Should be a sense of pride.
Absolutely. You should wear it as a badge of honor. I love helping people and I want to help more. If you know more people I can help, please send their details my way.
Absolutely. So starts with building relationships, transferring them into real partnerships and then asking for the referral. Have you got an example of a business that has done this really well and then really grown the business to the next level?
Oh, I've got a really good one that kind of surprised me as well. I'll give you two. So one that knew the power of moderate and high net worth firms that look after those client bases in accountancy. And so they targeted those accountants and they built several great relationships. Their average deal sizes were much larger. They fostered those relationships over years. It sustained their business. They had a wonderful model. And they thought, you know what? With 4 of these partners and one just sold their firm, so they lost. They thought, well, you know what? This is a bit of a narrow net. Is this a concern for us? So what did they do? They just built their own accountancy practice and looked after all the same clients that they had anyway. So I think that's an interesting evolution model of having a really good referral partnership model. The other thing I would encourage, depending on where you are in your business, is to look outside the square. And so strategically, we've recommended over the years to certain brokerages at certain stages, have you considered insurance broking? bringing that in-house or doing a partnership with insurance broking, because all they do is deal with businesses and commercial facilities. And so it's a really good area to cross-pollinate. Insurance broker assists getting the finance deal into the finance broker refers their commercial deals to the insurance broker, and then they bought that in-house too, and now they've got a thriving and diversified business. So referral partners aren't always the normal ones that you just think of. Think about other ones that can assist you in your business growth.
And building that ecosystem that develops value chain, they're some of the absolute best models that I've seen, and I'm now seeing more businesses either forming strategic partnerships or even joint ventures to deliver that, so that they're not just focusing on one part of the transaction.
Well, one of the common things that we hear from your more mature businesses that have these processes down pat, that tap into all of those marketing opportunities and all of those referral opportunities, their problem isn't getting more business. It's serving the business that's walking in the door, which is a scaling matter. So we put in more operational staff behind it to cater to the flows coming in, acquire more brokerages. Sometimes acquisitions are part of that as well. If you can't hire, go and acquire.
Relationships key in referrals. How big a role does brand play?
I think brand is crucial and critical, more so today than what it was 10 years ago, but it's going to be super important as we move forward. When you meet with a client or a potential referral partner, they've usually already researched you. They've Googled you. They've looked you up on LinkedIn to see if you've got a profile there. If I look up a business person in our industry and they don't have a LinkedIn profile, immediately I think, well, why don't they have a LinkedIn profile? So there's not as much implied trust there. Whereas if I can see and transparent who they worked for, I know that person, immediately I've got a little bit more respect or trust with that person. And when they walk through the door, they're starting in front as opposed to me being a little bit skeptical of them. So super important.
Yeah, and I know we went through this whole branding piece earlier this year, and decided that just strengthening on what we already had, as opposed to creating something new, was important to us. And I suspect that's no different for the one man or woman show, or if you're big broker organisation.
I think brand consistency is very, very important. Now, we see a lot of rebrands happening, which is reshaping of logos or colors or these types of things, but people come to know a brand, they attach themselves to it, it builds credibility. We had a big player in the market change their name recently, and half the world doesn't know who they are anymore, what that name is. And I think consistency
confuses me every time, and I get it wrong most of the time.
Yeah,
too.
I know. It sounds like a Mortal Kombat move, but I think that consistency in brand, because tenure, don't forget, Tony, is a super important thing. People love dealing with businesses. I mean, 25 years, right, for you guys? So yeah. People love dealing with businesses that have stood the test of time. And if your brand has been ever present and it's a good brand, it's polished, it's respectable, the longer it's there, the more people are going to remember it. That's just how it works.
And I think the other piece is, whether it be building relationships, partnerships, or asking for referrals, being really clear on what you stand for, and having that point of difference, and making that really clearly known is important.
Yeah, we talk a lot about purpose. And a lot of people get into it because they want to help people. That's not your sole purpose. Your purpose might be to grow your business as well. It might be to do X, Y, and Z. We need to remind ourselves of our purpose. So many businesses have mission statements at the top. You'd have a mission statement. Most sophisticated businesses do. Small businesses tend often not to have a mission statement, which builds into their purpose. It's really helpful if you don't have one, just to think on it, write it down. And if that is to be the most recognized, local, most professional brokerage in my area serving the community, write it down. Look at it every week. That's going to be your purpose. And you deliver that to your clients, you deliver that to your referral partners.
It becomes your North Star, and you're able to, anchor yourself back against that, and it drives, and if the example you gave, you want to be the most recognized broker in your local community, then that drives you doing community events, maybe community sponsorship, being involved in the networks in the community, and you're really able to anchor yourself against that, and you become known for it, and the community appreciates that.
Oh, it's very, very important. One thing I want to touch on with referral partnerships, though, is your brand and how important it is to the world. You need to protect your brand. You need to grow your brand. And your brand needs to be somebody that people want to work with or want to deal with. Whether they like you or they're not, they might like you in business and see that you're a really great operator. I always say I work for my family first, I work for the industry second, and I work for my company third, because without an industry, I wouldn't have a company to work for, right, is the way I look at it. But that first part about your family protecting and all those types of things is also your brand and protecting it, because companies come and go, but you don't. You're the constant. So what does your brand look like to your referral partners in that community that you want to work in? I set up with a couple of my mates a huge networking group, Dads at the Hills, and it does wonders for my brand as well. You know, it brings brokers to our business and all these types of things, and I've got a level of respect in the community because of how I present and what I do in that community forum as well. So I think your brand is super important to your clients, but also to referral partners.
Absolutely. So, I think winning and developing great referrals is absolutely mission critical to growing strong, successful businesses. But I think what you've shared with us today is that getting to that point is actually multifaceted, and it's not back in the day, the lunch. It is about understanding who you're dealing with, understanding your own purpose and your own brand and identity, and then having consistent story and message that gets attached to that.
I agree. Don't forget, these referral partners, the clients that they're referring to you is at the center of what they do. And your clients are at the center of what you do. So you're all nurturing this client in the center. And if you can demonstrate that you do that well, better than anybody else, you've got a referral partner for life.
Yeah. And no one in that chain is more important than the other. But nurturing it and ensuring that you're constantly following up and involved in it is absolutely clear. Blake, thank you again for joining us and sharing your ideas and thoughts. Referrals are absolutely key to growing business, and we appreciate you taking the time to share that, as I know our listeners do. So thank you again.
Great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe, join our Bluestone community for more insights and updates, and we'll catch you on the next podcast. That's a wrap of this episode of It's a Broker Thing, brought to you by Bluestone Home Loans. We love sharing ideas that help you stay ahead, because backing brokers, well, it's a Bluestone thing. Hit subscribe and join us next time for more insights and stories that keep you in the know. This podcast is for general education only and isn't financial, legal or tax advice. Guest views are their own. Bluestone accepts no liability for errors or how you use this information.